Redmond, and today we are going to go over the planetary aspects surrounding us and affecting us for this upcoming week of September 17th through the 23rd. And hello everyone, it's been a minute. It's been a couple of months since I've done a video, and that is the longest stretch I have ever gone without doing a video. And we'll pull all that in a minute here, how those energies of the summer really impacted us all greatly, and those energies have finally released and they're ready to let us get moving forward. But I want you all to know that I did not forget you, I swear. There's just so much going on for myself as well, and it's interesting that for me, if I'm going through something and it's taking a lot of my energy, or any of us, right? When it takes a lot of your energy, it's hard to give to others, and I always want to give you the best of me, and I knew I would not be able to over the past couple of months with everything else that's going behind the scenes in my own life. You know, it's funny, I met a wonderful friend of mine on Friday, and I like the way that they worded it too, that yes, I'm an extremely spiritual person, but I'm also human, and I go through the ebbs and flows of life just like every one of us, and if I can't give you the best, I won't, and that's why I've kind of scaled back. But it's also because of the planetary energies that are out there, setting a reset button for all of us. You know, there's so much that has happened in the past couple of years that have brought about unexpected shifts and changes that ultimately are changing the trajectory of our life path and our lives as we've known them. These could be deaths, these could be major career changes, endings of relationships, marriages, things that used to be the foundation of who you once were have been under radical transformation over the past couple of years. And 2018 is where we start to get the new foundation set and legs under it. But there's a lot of things that have to be released, a lot of grief that has to be released. And we're doing that thanks to Jupiter moving through Scorpio. Scorpio is the sign of grief. It is the sign of death and loss. But it's the sign of the transformations that happen from the endings that occur in our lives. So this is huge, as the planet Jupiter has been transiting through since October of last year, and it will continue to do so into November of this year. It's really dredging up to the surface those losses, those changes, those endings. And if those endings haven't totally happened, I tell you what, the universe is pushing you to do it. But we get stuck in these comfort zones, and it makes it difficult to make these life-altering decisions or changes or movements or what have you to get ourselves going. And the summer, what happened is that it made us reflect back on where we needed to act, where we need to start standing up for ourselves, and where we need to act to really have the confidence and strength to sever any ties that we need to, whether it's career, relationship, grief from a loss. You fill in that blank. Okay, where have you not moved your feet? What that is Mars. Mars makes our feet move. Now, Mars retrograded this summer, and ironically, that's the last time I did a video. It was just before the Mars retrograde, and I did not anticipate for it to hit me as hard as it did. I've been saying it all year that the Mars retrograde was going to make the summer where you wanted to be introspective more and maybe not go out into the summer more, because Mars is the engine that drives us. And when it retrogrades, it takes our energy. It makes us look back. Anytime a planet retrogrades, it's making us look back to whatever the qualities of that planet are and how we are really expressing them. So for Mars, it's our action. It's our ability to assert ourselves. It's our ability to blaze a new trail and have that inner warrior strength to do that. To do what's best for yourself. To have passion for something new. To have drive. To have ambition. Mars is our anger, and it shows us where our anger can get us in trouble. But it also shows us where we need to stand up for ourselves to say this isn't right and I need to do this, right? All these things we're thinking about over the summer. Where did I need to stand up for myself? Where did I need to blaze new trails? Where do I need to get my feet moving in a new direction? Because that's what it's about. It's about opening up that window and letting in a breath of fresh spring air is what it does for us in our lives if we can harness its power and accept its power. So when Mars retrogrades, it's a time to look back and see where our actions have landed us to the position that we're in now, or where our inability to act has led us to where we are now, and how we're going to change that moving forward. Now, Mars was retrograde from June 26th until August 27th. So it's still pretty recent where this retrograde has worn off. And in that same time frame as well, actually this was a couple of weeks ago, Saturn also went direct out of its retrograde phase as well. Saturn is kind of like the reins that hold us back. It's Mars's arch nemesis. But you'll find in astrology that we need the balance, right? The opposite is actually the balance to everything in life, and we'll kind of go into that a little bit too in the next thing that's happening for this week. But Saturn is the one that sets the new rules and the new boundaries, and it really wants to make sure that that foundation is set. Remember, we talked about that. A lot of shifts and changes happen, but there's a new foundation underfoot for those brave enough, right, to blaze the new trail, to start something new, and to do what's best for your true self. Absolutely, right? Your soul's been talking to you, and it really talked this summer, and it knocked you down to the point where you couldn't even give any energy to others. And when it happened to me, I was like, holy smokes. But it showed me where I needed to act, right? And to do what's best for me. So here we go. We got Saturn going direct now too, and it's back in its home sign of Capricorn. That happened at the end of last year, and it's going to be there until 2020. And as it does so, it's going to make sure those foundations are good and solid, and that they're more fitting for who you are. Right? But we're just getting into those first phases of it, so it's a lot of growing pains that are happening. But I tell you what, wonderful things come if you listen to where your soul's leading you. Where do we go from here? So yes, where that Mars retrograde hit affected everybody differently. So if you were a Libra or an Aries, because it's Mars rules Aries and its opposing sign is Libra, you are going to be the folks that were most affected by it. Now that's somebody who has their sun sign, their natal moon sign, or ascendant in those signs. You're going to be the one that's looking to the past a lot, and where your actions or inability to act has gotten you. And now you're ready to move forward. We're all ready to move forward. I tell you what, especially after these retrograde cycles have ended, we're ready to say, you know what, I've got some plans now. I think I've got some really good plans for moving forward into the future. Now, what's interesting is that we also have a lot that's going on that pull in the energies of that Aries and Libra. Let me kind of explain a little bit of what these two opposing forces are. In astrology, you always got to have the opposite to balance it out. So you'll see, that big old astrology wheel that we've got out there. You've got 12 houses that go around it. In the first house, its opposing force is going to be over here in the 7th house. The second house, its opposing force is going to be in the 8th house. And a sign rules each one of those houses naturally in the wheel that rules us all. But each one of us have a specific wheel where a sign will start out differently for that first house, second house, third house. That's what makes your chart unique, But in the world of astrology, Aries starts that wheel out. It represents the first house. And the first house is the self. What you and your soul is here to accomplish this lifetime. Now, its opposing force over there on the 7th house is ruled by Libra. So that's the opposing force, right? What does that deal with? What's the opposite of the self? Relationship. So the 7th house rules marriage, partnerships, and one-on-one close relationships that we have. Got to have those balances, right? What's best for me and what's best for you. But you can see where there's that struggle, huh? And it does so throughout the rest of the wheel too. But right now we're going to focus on that Aries and Libra axis, because so much of it is starting to come to the focus in the forefront as we go into this week, because we're going into the autumnal equinox. And that's when we all kind of look to the balance in our lives. a little bit more so, right? That's what it's all about. And so we're starting to put, not only do we have these signs that balance one another out. So if you're having problems with yourself, you got to look to your relationships, right? If you're having problems in your relationships, we're using Aries and Libra here. If you're having problems in your relationships, you look to see where you play a role in that. Remember, because that's the balance, that's the counterbalance, and that'll help you find the answer. That's where the key lies. We have this time where we look to see where those balances are, and we have 2 equinoxes every year. That's when we have equal parts of daylight and moon, or darkness, every day. The opposing forces that balance us in this life, they come into focus and we see them. And what's interesting in astrology is that we always find that something gets initiated under one cycle or one transit that happens, and then its counterbalance, you'll see where the results happen from what you put into that transit that happened before. So for example, we're going to use this. When we have the spring equinox that happens around Easter, it's always just before Easter, because Easter is actually a lunar-based holiday, that it is the first Sunday after the equinox. When it comes into that time frame, we're focused on the self more, because the sun is going through the sign of Aries. It's asking you, what do you need? And what do we need to do to change that, right? Those things come to the forefront. Where is the balance off? That's what that spring equinox asks us. But it also asks us, especially at the time of the new moon and the full moon in that time frame. So this was March 31st of this year. Keep that in mind as we go on. It was asking you then, what do I need to see change? What do I need to do to make this change? Me, me, me. What do I want? What do I need? And we put those seeds out in the universe at that time. Well, here we go into the autumnal equinox, which is the balancing and opposing force of that. This is where we're moving into Libra. The sun is moving into Libra, and it's focused on balancing those scales. Libra is the sign that's represented by the scales, but it's also about relationship. It's about making sure that things are fair and even and equal. So naturally, whatever you put into that time frame, when you were pulling out the inner warrior, when you were finding where your perseverance lies, when you were finding where your motivation is, where your direction is, and those trails you want to blaze, and how you want to assert yourself, and how you really want to make your feet move, and where that warrior lies within you, that came out back in the spring. But now the results are going to start turning up in this equinox as we're going here. So you're going to find anything you initiate in that time frame that's coming back to either be completed, especially because next week we've got the full moon that happens, that is the balancing force for this. But just pay attention to what's out there, okay, because it pulls in and it ties in with what you were really mulling over this summer. They tie together. Why? Because Mars, it rules Aries, okay, and Mars was our retrograde buddy in the summer there. So this is where we start to see shifts and changes, all right, moving forward. But those shifts and changes are coming from you, because you're going to start acting differently. You're ready to move your feet forward in a new way. I tell you what, it's a very powerful time, very powerful time. And now we are going into that fall phase, and this is where I have seen the major changes happening for 2018, was the latter half of the year. Especially as we have Jupiter moving out of Scorpio, letting go of those hurts, the grief, the losses, finally letting them go. How can new energy come into our lives if we don't let go? I was watching something the other day that was talking about how a lot of times in life, we start out, well, all of us, we start out life with trust and love and unconditional understanding, right? But then things happen to us in this life where we begin to put up those blocks, and we start to, we become like a muscle that's contracted, like when you're exercising, right? So here I am doing my exercises, and this trauma or what have you happens, and it's tight, right? But we don't want to get hurt, so we keep it tight because we don't want to let go. And then we find that nothing can come in because we're so clenched and tight holding on to what happened in the past that we don't have the ability to let go. But when we let go, the blood flow happens again, doesn't it? Then we see the strength that we've built. Then we have this amazing ability to look at ourselves and say, I transformed myself. I transformed this muscle from all of that tension and all of that strain. But you have to let go to let in that new, right? To let the good things come in. So that's an amazing analogy, and I liked it quite a bit. But that also plays in a lot with a lot of us right now too. When we have that Jupiter going through this time, we have to let go of these things. And we're rapidly approaching that time frame when those things have to be released. So you're going to find, especially as we go into this time, that those items that really brought themselves to the forefront in the spring that said this has to change for you to be the real true you now, they're coming through. Okay, so maybe you wanted to change a job back in the spring and you didn't. I tell you what, now the universe is really going to start laying it down, making it known to you through fights with coworkers. They cut your pay, they make you work more. It's almost like the universe is really, really making it known this has to change, but you have to let it go because you know something better is coming in, and it really truly is. Once you let go of that muscle and let in the good, I think you'd be amazed at what is going to come through. It really truly is. So here we go, equinox time, right? Autumnal equinox, though, we're looking at all of the fruits of our labor, right? It's our own personal harvest time. And we're looking to see where the scales are balanced as a result. What have I planted in the spring that has come up now? What needs to be harvested? What needs to be released? Where are the scales not balanced? And what can I do to make it change? Because now we're starting to get that energy back thanks to Mars going direct. Mars this week is squaring up against Uranus too. That happens on Tuesday. And as it does that, I think it's really fitting because it ties in with all of these things. Uranus is the planet that pushes us to our personal best. And it makes us do what is best for our true, authentic self to really be revealed. So you have all of that energy of everything I just talked about squaring up against that planet that will randomly bring things into your life. It'll make things happen unexpectedly. It'll bring things through because what happens is it sees that we get stuck in these comfort zones and we don't want to move out of them. Uranus pushes us out because it makes something happen. It's like you have a certain amount of time to decide on your own how you're going to make something change. But if you don't act, the universe is going to throw it at you anyway because it said, well, hey, that's what your soul needs. That's what you decided you wanted to do before you came down on this earth. You know, I'm going to push you into it and you're going to adapt after. And we always do good, don't we? We fear all these things, but then we realize, right, once we get thrown into it and these things happen, I could do this. I can do this. And I always find a way to do this, right? That's what the energy this week's going to remind us a lot too, as Mars squares up against that Uranus as well. What we're fighting for, really, truly. But as we go into the equinox, that also means the sun moves into Libra. So we're going to be focusing on those scales a lot. We're also going to be focusing on those relationships a lot. So you're going to find that if there's issues surrounding your relationships, they're going to be having the sun shone on them over the next 4 weeks, especially. Working with others, finding harmony in others. Mercury also moves into Libra this week. Mercury is a planet of communication in the mind, so we're going to be a little bit more balanced in our communications in this time frame, especially if it's something you're really wanting to work on and rebuild a relationship. This is the perfect astrological timing to do so. So, everyone, I want you to know that I, too, am moving my feet forward and wanting to bring new and amazing things for you, for my wonderful viewers, for all of my friends that are out there that watch me every week and listen and contribute and comment. I appreciate all of it so much, and I want to bring classes and wonderful things to the forefront that I've been working on through this summer to help you be the best you that you can be. And I am going to be the best me I can be for you as well. So we are going to keep on with our weekly readings. They're going to shift and change a little bit. But no matter what, I will always be there and have them for you Sunday. Moving forward. So here, let's do the next part that we always do in these readings, right? Where I pull a stone to see what archangel is around all of us and what their message is through the tarot cards, angel tarot cards, for what we need to do or keep in mind, or whatever their message is for this week. So here we go. We've got all of our stones. I decide the archangels work with me and they tell me who they are through the stone, that I can feel like an electric impulse come through. Then I know who it is that's working with us right now. For this week of the equinox, of balancing the scales and seeing where subconscious and conscious work together and how to bring them into focus and we can balance. So let's see. Gosh, what an interesting sound that was. Oh, isn't this great? I love this stone too. Everybody always loves this one. I tell you what, this is a beautiful cluster of an amethyst. And the amethyst is represented by Archangel Jeremiah. I was just talking about this the other day too with somebody, this archangel. Archangel Jeremiah is such an amazing angel. He is the one that comes to us when we are about to cross over and we have that life review, and people say, oh, my life just flashed in front of my eyes. You know, you hear those people that have near-death experiences. He's the archangel that sits with you and holds your hand, along with Jesus, of course, reviewing your life and helping you to decide if your soul is ready to take one of these exit points. Of course, we don't have to be dying to call on the power of Archangel Jeremiah, because what he does is he helps us see the past accurately. He's also the angel that holds our hand during very, very trying times in our life, and helps kind of calm those waters around us. And he helps us to know that we are being watched and we're being supported by a spiritual network that is specifically there for this time in our life. He shines a light on where we need to move forward. Not only the memories of the past, but what is going to be best for us moving forward. So he is there. He is also the angel of Scorpio energy. And I know we are so close to moving into these Scorpio energies of death and release and transformation that happens, right? We talked about that a little bit too. This is the angel of deep psychological digging into that subconscious mind. He's the one that's going to get in there and really pull the root out. So we call on him this week. We know he's around this week, ready to help us work and release and understand and see things as they are. Bringing balance, of course, makes total sense through that stone as well. Amethyst does that for us. Balances the male and female polarities in our mind, both hemispheres of our brain. So that we don't have one going all haywire on us and running the show. We need balance. Where do we find that balance? In the opposing force, right? All right, Archangel Jeremiah, what's that message you got for us this week? Yep. Oh, I love this card. I love this card. You know why I love this card? Because every card in the deck of tarot represents a week or a season. Some of them represent seasons in the year. And this card is represented by my birthday week, actually. So I love this. But it carries, every time I see this card, it makes me think of myself too, you know, and I think it's wonderful because this card represents standing up for yourself and what your heart truly knows it needs to do, and having the confidence and faith to do that. It's a tough thing, isn't it? To stand up and say, this isn't fair, this isn't right for me. I need to do what's best for me. So this card, let me read you exactly what it says. Defend your beliefs and decisions. Stand your ground and choose your battles wisely also as well too, because right, sometimes we get a little bit too focused on what the self needs, and we got to balance it out with the lever, right? We got to think about the others that are involved as well in that situation. But no matter what, we got to come from a place of power, and that's why I love this card, because you see this lady on her dragon and she's got all of her power behind her, you know what I mean? Having to really know that your soul's talking to you and it's bringing through some amazing things if you're ready to hear and to listen. Okay, so we know that Archangel Jeremiah is around this week, ready to help you defend yourself and the decisions that you've chosen or made or are about to make. Right? Just listen to your heart and your intuition, and I tell you what, it never leads you wrong, right? It really doesn't. So hey y'all, thank you so much for watching again and being there. And we're gonna wonderfully keep on keeping on and bringing you great things throughout the remainder of this year. So thank you so much for watching as always. Bye.